my fellow readers, Dark Symphony 777 with another fanfiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story, and finally, listen to my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, the story I'm doing reviews of is the remainder of the Hifuu Detective Agency stories, which covers not this one. I put this one here just for, I guess, a gag. No, just to kind of compare something. I'll talk about it later. Let's just say it's really important. But the rest of this video covers an undefined fantastic object, Hitsetsu no Soku, 10 Desires, Hopeless Masquerade, and Double Dealing Character, i.e. Touhou's 12.5, 13, 13.5, and 14 story in the game, in the franchise. And I really wanted to like these stories. Now, here's the thing. When I reviewed the previous 7 stories, and I actually reread those because I had some of these stories actually required you to have read the other, like, everything back to back. So I was like, okay, I'm going to reread these just to get myself up to date because apparently these stories are gonna reference these stories, and I still actually liked them for the most part. The only one I would actually go back of the first 7 that I probably would change my mind on and say I wouldn't recommend would be Immaterial Missing Power, which is the 3rd story in the series, because reading back specifically on a hindsight sort of deal, it not really that good. It's more of a hindsight. Definitely, I do know that it was the weakest of the original 7, but even then, I still recommend it because it's still not bad. But now, having read every single story except for the last one, I wouldn't recommend it. But I would recommend the other ones, especially Mountain of Faith. That one still holds up pretty well. But what is about these stories that, well, I don't like? And it's kind of sad because it just went so downhill so hard. So let's actually just get the plot out of it. Let's just go over a summarize of the plot. Undefined fantastic object. Renko and Mary decide to work with the Mioran crew, or specifically Ichirin and Captain Murasa, who they actually found during the events of Subterranean Animism. And they found, oh hey, there's this big ship that's underground. We're gonna help them out. And this story basically, Mary and Renko, with the help of Kanako and Suwako, made like this entire event. Like, they bored into the earth where the ship is and launched the ship into the sky. So basically, this story already has an interesting hook in the fact that every story beforehand, Mary and Renko are tangibly involved in. Like, they are passerbys just wandering. The closest they got to actually getting involved is Subterranean Animism, mainly due to the fact they kind of get stuck there first, but ultimately they don't get too involved. In UFO, on the other hand, they actually start the incident. Canonically, the events of UFO are basically started by, like, the nuclear reactor that Kanako sets up. In this story, Renko just basically says, okay, we're gonna have Oku superheat a little lake of blood where the ship is on. Sawako bored into the earth, made a hole big enough for the ship to be able to get launched out into the sky, and they're basically just gonna start looking for the Byakuya and Hijiri. That's basically the plot. It's also like the only Touhou game, mainline game where, like, the main playable characters are, like, actually horrible people. Because instead of, like, doing anything evil, you have Sene is like, I just want to beat people up. And then Marissa and Rimu, their whole thing about seeing the ship is like, I wanted. I heard that you're kind of crooked. It's like, didn't you just want money? It's like, Marissa, shut. But Rimu, you wanted money for your shrine. Shut. And yeah, so they basically just beat up a bunch of Buddhists for literally no reason. Like they weren't like honestly like if you play the game, they literally aren't really doing anything. They're just kind of in a ship in the sky doing just nothing and just like we just want to find our head nun and that's it. It's like but so you're not gonna attack people now. You're not gonna harass people now. You're just gonna find this one lady. What are you gonna do after it? We're just gonna wander around. Do not really bother anyone. Oh, okay. Who's this nun? Oh, Byakuya and Hijiri. It's like, oh wait a fucking minute. And I think from a plot standpoint, the idea is sound. Like the idea of Mary and Renko deliberately changing up the events of the game by actually starting the events and kind of going from there is a good idea. And honestly, in a hindsight, what sort of way, it's something that the series really should have actually pushed towards more. But instead, we get just this as like an act, like the only story that actually changes the events of the general plot, like even subterranean animism, which the actual canonical events of SA doesn't even occur until like the very end of the story. And even then, it's just like that's occurring while Mary and Renko are just talking to Kanako, and Kanako's just fucking with with Renko. I think the plot of this story is fine, except for a specific plot point near the end. I need to actually talk about this now because it's gonna make sense later because I need to explain this, especially with what happens in this story. So it happens, I think, trying to remember where this story. Oh crap. Where is it? I'm gonna actually give me a second. I'm gonna actually see if I can find it real quick. Okay, I did find it. It's chapter 31. For context, and this is a big context. Throughout every story, with the exception of subterranean animism, Rimu would constantly get more and more angry and belligerent over the fact that she keeps finding Mary and Renko getting involved technically meeting the people who are the masterminds behind the incident. However, she is willing to forgive someone. Like when it came to ESODs, like okay, they kind of just spawned into the Scarlet Dome Manor. She can't really control that, so she's like, you know what? Fine, I'll ignore that. Perfect Cherry Blossom, they kind of get sucked into a gap by Yukari once Rimu kind of like finds out okay it might have been Yukari. He's like fine. There's no other way you could have actually accessed Hakyokuro any other way. Fine. Inventory on Mr. Power, they kind of just looked into finding Suika first because of Mary's eyes, but this is at the point where she's like kind of drawing the line. It's like stop getting involved. Just stop. And then they kept going until Scarlet with a Rhapsody, where Rimu actually started just barging into their house, glaring at them. It's like, are you two up to know something? It's like, no, watching you. And she would periodically do that. So Rimu is completely like constantly at odds with Mary and Renko over the fact that they're constantly kind of getting involved. Like they're just humans who don't know how to fight, who don't know how to do anything. And Rimu's whole job is finding the mastermind, the person behind the incident, and just beating him up. Here's the thing. In this story, Mary and Renko, more specifically just Renko, is the mastermind. So, you'd think Rimu would find out about it, and she does find out about it, and I don't know, she would exterminate, quote unquote, i.e., she just kind of smacks them around, or if they're yokai, they're just just throw Damaku at him and just kind of like, in essence she just beats him up and they kind of just like, okay, you had your fun, yes, good. She finds out Renko did everything, and it kind of gets stalled because it's like, oh, what about, they're kind of looking for this head done. They want to beat her up and kind of reseal her. It's like, trying to avoid accountability. Rimu kind of agrees with that. It's like, fine, we'll see what this nun is, and kind of beat her up. And that one and Renko getting exterminated kind of gets put on hold for them to get to Byakuren. They find Byakuren. Byakuren basically curb stomps Rimu, Marissa, Sine, and only really win by pure luck. They leave Hakai where Byakuren is, and Rimu looks at Renko. Renko tries to gather it again, and instead of Rimu justifiably exterminating her because, she should at least smack Renko, kind of remind her, Rimu, the author, makes Rimu OOC out of character for no reason, just to go, just don't do it again, and just wanders off. This wouldn't be a problem if not for the fact that in this story and every story after, they're constantly reminded. It's like, oh yeah, Renko mastermind this. It's like, dude, why do you keep bringing that up? Just why? Why would you just randomly establish Ringu as constantly having to watch Mary and Renko and getting angry of them to the point that she's borderline stalking them, and constantly bringing up in stories like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do? You're gonna smack them. They're human. They can't do anything. Despite the fact that Rinmu canonically can and will smack people, she was pretty much tempted to kill Kozuzu in one of the mangas. She did kill a guy who just recently became a yokai in the same manga. She is perfectly willing to kill if that's what needs to be. She just kind of does it. She just only kills if she has no choice but to. Hence why she usually typically just smacks him around. It's like, you're gonna be a good boy? Yes. Good. Don't do anything otherwise I smack you again. So it bleeds into a cascading, because this is where it gets really bad with Renko's character. This one decision bleeds into the rest of the story as the stories go along, as these stories progress. Renko gets more and more unlikable, completely and utterly intolerable. I want to talk about that when I get to the worst of it in Hopeless Masquerade, but I just want to at least cover my bases, talk about the plots of each story. In Hitsu Sentoku, more or less, this is kind of a goofy story. This is less like a serious story. This is more like they kind of just talk to Mary and Renko kind of visit the Moria Shrine. They find out Kanako is like having trouble getting the power plant, the nuclear power plant up and running. Not a combination of the fact that Oku is kind of taking, well, is le dumb, and also they don't really have they're kind of stalling on funds because the Tengus are just kind of like throttling the funds to the Moria Shrine, so they're kind of having trouble getting money to like to finish building everything strong and make everything strong enough for Oku to be able to withstand Oku's heat and stuff like that. Renko decides to offer a solution. It's like, why don't you have a bunch of junk tech, right? Yeah. Why don't you just have like a bazaar and sell the stuff? But we can't really go near the village. It's like, okay, how about you set up all these deals with like the Mioran Shrine, which is Byakuren's crew, who kind of lives nearby. And you have like this big thing, this landmark that attracts people, so like people can know where to go. They actually like the idea, so they even show like the project, which is Hitsu Sensoku, which is like this huge robot. It's not really a robot; it's actually just a balloon, and it's used as like a a advertise. It's literally just an ad balloon, like like the foot whatever. Footloose thing, those blimps that you see with like the shoe logo on them. I can't remember what the name of the logo is, what the brand is. I don't know why I'm having a brain fart on that. um, but people actually saw it and thought it was a the Daira Barochi, which is like this giant mountain yokai, and everyone started like they talking about it more and more to the point where like they were worried that Dorame suite from Lolke basically tells us like, okay, you're kind of at risk of that Daita Barochi kind of actually becoming real, so you kind of gotta deal with that. So, what do? They get. No, I'll talk about it at the end. Spoiler: that moment at the end of the story is my favorite of this entire of all the stories, and I want to talk about that specifically at the end. But I do like the tone of the story. It's very more goofy because the story takes a lot of inspiration from uh not only mecha anime, but more specifically the Big O, which is actually one of my favorite animes of all time. This story is basically just a massive love letter to this anime. Like you can, like even in the first chapter, you can see like right here, cast the name of God, ye not guilty, which is actually a recurring phrase in the Big O anime. Like, usually when they get into like the gigantic mechs, they look down. There's a screen like facing us, like, and it basically is meant as like a way to tell who's worthy of piloting each robot because each robot will only accept one pilot. So this is like their way of telling you, it's like, okay, you're the guy who's supposed to pilot me in their own sort of way. It's a really cool, goofy, like low key plot that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's very tongue in cheek with it's I love it. It's really comical at times with how even like the events of like everyone getting worried about the Daibarochi yokai being like kind of coming real. Do you want to know who started that? Yeah, this chick, Baka. 10 Desires. Okay, so 10 Desires. Okay, 10 Desires takes place a bit after UFO and Soku, and the plot of this story is Mary and Renko get hired by the Mioran crew because they find Byakuran knows that Mary's eyes can see like gaps and stuff like that. So it's like, we're hiring you to find out that there's some kind of force and like all these random spirits are kind of just in like all across the human village, and they're just kind of just hanging there, just annoying. And everyone's like, "Oh, they don't. Do they do anything, Miss Kind?" No, we tested it. They just float around. Everything should be good. Okay, let's go shopping, and kind of just there. So Byakuran's like, okay, something in the cemetery is about to be revived. Can you find out what's going on? So they go to the cemetery. They run into the Taoist group, which is Toyosumatsu no Miko, Tojiko, and Futo, and also Sega and Yoshiko. And also they kind of run into Kugasa because Spoopy Umbrella, because that's where she's living. It's like, oh, a boo, a boo. They kind of find out it's like, oh, it's just the crown prince, Prince Shoku, who's also like apparently like who's an actual historical figure. Fun fact: Miko from Touhou is the only named character who's actually based off a real historical figure in Prince Shoku, who is like a notable member of the, I believe, Chinese royal family, either Chinese or Japanese royal family during like I think like the Heisei era, so around there. So, well, he's being revived, turns into a chick. It's like, yeah, I'm cool with this. It's like, okay. And honestly, nothing fucking happens in this story. Half of the story is quite literally them stuck in like a random room inside the mausoleum where Miko is going to be revived, and they're just kind of like, what are I gonna do? Can I leave Mary on board? No, they said not to. Do you want to get zapped? Like, I want more. I want to explore. I want to sate my curiosity. No. I'm crying, Mary. No. Didn't work. It didn't work. They witness Miko reviving. Miko decides to use the situation where Miko's like, aha, I can get attention. Fights Miku. It's like, I will fight all three of you. Huzzah! Fights them for like a couple minutes. It's like, oh boy, I lost. And like over dramatic, it's like, oh no, I lost. Anyway, I will fight. I will find some place to live. It's like, wait, huh? It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Miko just used you for like advertisement. It's like, oh, you mother! And Miko just kind of, and the rest of the story is just them talking with Kine and a conversation with Miko, and that's it. And then they just kind of talk with Saiga about Mary's Renko's delusions, and that's it. Nothing happens. Like they beat up a poor young Biko. Like Kayuko, they beat up Kayuko. And then we get like a little sad moment where like Kayuko's like only part of the Buddhist group, the Buddhist group, because like someone decided to kind of inadvertently nearly extinct all my other kind by saying that Yamakikos are just echoes. And the funny moment was like everyone just turns to Sane and glares at her like, um, um, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And like no one's buying it. Nobody's buying it. Don't worry, Sane didn't do nothing. And oh boy, yeah, nothing really. Just it's just this general feeling of nothing fucking happens in the story. Hopeless Masquerade. Oh boy. Oh boy. So Hopeless Masquerade. How do I even describe this? Because I'm so with this story, I'm so fixated on the whole shitty situation with Renko. I partially forgot what the actual plot is. I know with double dealing characters is another case of nothing fucking happens. But with this story, Mary and Renko find out that there's like actual fighting between humans and how yokais around the village are like actually just approaching and actually attacking the village, and no one knows what's going on. All they know is like it's like every time when something like happens, there's like random Noah dances that just appear, and then Byakurin and Miko kind of get involved, and it's like, aha, you shall follow Buddhism or Taoism. And then Notori's like, no, follow technology. We have technology. Did it work? Didn't work? No. Sad Kappa noises. And Marissa's like, I just want to fight. It's like, I just want to throw hands. I want to throw hands. No, the big titty nun. She gets buy one get one free. These hands. Like, are you sure that's what? Okay, I'm also taking bets on myself. I made like $20. How much is that in yen? About 200,000. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. However, the actual result of what's happening around it, the cause of all this, is this yokai named Haruno Kokoro. She's basically has the ability to like regulate her emotions. However, what happened is she lost one of her masks. She's basically a Tsuki Ogami of a collection of 66 masks, and one of the masks got stolen, like went missing, and the whole story is Mary, Renko, Mamizu, and Kokoro kind of just wander around like various sections, places, just so they could try and find out what is happening and if they can find the mask. However, they find out that that Kokoro, well, not only Kokoro kind of is belligerent, like because Kokoro like is like an exaggeration of emotions, so she kind of doesn't really know how to properly regulate her emotions. So basically, she's only one emotion at one time whenever she's trying to talk, and that's usually described by like what mask she was on her face. So basically, Kokoro's whole deal is that she quite literally cannot physically emote. Instead, she shows what emotions she has by the mask. So it's like one mask might show that to describe that she might be happy. Another mask would be like she's mad and stuff like that. The other thing is they find out that Koishi found the missing actually has the missing mask, and they realize how the fuck are we gonna get her because only Mary can really get to Koichi because she's deliberately avoiding Renko. They do eventually do a workaround by getting Miko to build in their Mask of Hope to kind of help regulate that. They also find out that the Moria Shrine was kind of behind the whole thing. We get like this little comedic thing with Sawako. It's like, we know you did it. It's like, you'll never catch me alive, Cuppers. But we did catch you. Oh, Kanako, they caught me. Go croak like a frog. Rabbit. And of course, they didn't tell Sane about it because like we just wanted to take advantage of the whole thing. It's like, well, what? We won't get involved. We didn't get involved. So even if you know, Ringo can't really get her hands on us, it's like, yeah, she can't. And then eventually, at the end, they do run into Okina Matara, otherwise known as the biggest asshole in Gensokyo. Uh, and with like a different sort of deal. They do eventually solve everything. I like the fact this one takes a different tone instead of like one of these weirdo thing that Renko does to say her curiosity. This is actually a genuine mystery where they're like actually like interrogating and investigating, and there's like even clues along the way. It's a different vibe from the rest of the series because this one follows a more traditional formula rather than anything else that's going on. Because at the end of the day, Rimu's not really is actually not really an active participant that much. She's kind of in the background. And really just like, I want worshippers too. Give me money too. So she kind of gets swept up in the whole hubbub of the whole thing. The story carries a very different vibe. Granted, everything's kind of ruined by how unlikable Renko has become by this point. Renko's character is just really that bad. And finally, double dealing character. Nothing happens again. More or less, a bunch of Tsuki Ogami come alive, start kind of just wandering around, just being annoying, waking up, like bothering people. They're not really harming anyone. They're just kind of annoying people. They find out that thanks to Moku, because there's actually another deviation from the plot, Moku actually is involved in this story and actually hangs out with Mary and Renko, which is like, Kind's being pressured all this time with all this. I'm gonna help her. You're gonna help me help her. I'm hiring you to. They also get kidnapped by like a pair of Tsuki Ogamis and all that. They find out that the people behind it is duo by the name of Shin Miyamaru Sukuna and Seija Kijin. I believe that's how you actually pronounce her name. I don't know. I know what her name is. I just have trouble pronouncing it. And they're basically just a whole stereotypical workers unite, workers like activist type of characters who don't really work because it's like Shin Miyamaru just spends so much time just kind of being one dimensional. Same thing with Seija. I mean, there's a cute moment where Seija actually not Seija. Shin Miyamaru actually mind controls Sakuya and Marissa, and Moku's like, it ain't 1-on-3, it's 2-on-3. You ready, Remo? You're not involved? Nah. I literally asked him to help me find this place. All right, 2 on 3 then. And and then they just and then Shin Miyamaru's punishment is like, you're gonna get locked in a birdhouse. Ah! And nothing just happens afterward because like they can't find Seija because she's like most wanted, and Renko just kind of just does the whole delusion thing just so because she's like, it's instant. I gotta get it out of the way. Can I just do it? Fine. Yeah. But nothing. They do also eventually meet Raiko, which is something I was anticipating from the Sumereko story because it's like Raiko's existence was like a massive plot hole because like it's left ambiguous whether or not she's two people or a human, becomes a yokai sort of deal. No, she's still a plot hole. And it's just for some reason now there's like two Raikos, one a yokai, one a human. It's just it makes no sense because probably the last story was supposed to explain it. Fun fact: the last story never actually finished. So there's not really nothing with the final story. It's like probably that would have been answered then, but I can't really justify it. That's more or less the plot. Some of the like Soku was good. UFO Tech actually was good because I like how different it was. Hopeless Masquerade was kind of good, and then these stories plots were just meh. Then there's the characters. What can I say about the characters? I will say when it comes to like the individual groups, UFO's the only one that's actually good. That's one thing I can appreciate from the first 7 stories. Each story offered like a different dynamic with Mary and Renko to kind of interact with. UFO kind of carries that. Subterranean Animism wasn't really that good because Mary and Renko spent so much time only talking to themselves, so there wasn't really a good dynamic between them or any of the other characters to kind of give a spin on it. With UFO, there's actually a good dynamic with the more Buddhist teachings of all the characters and how they interact with Mary and Renko. I think it's very nice. Byakuran's not that bad. Granted, Byakuran only shows up at like the very end of the story, so I can't really judge that. Ten Desires, none of the characters are really that good, mainly because, again, Mary and Renko spent like half of the story in a single room where they barely interact with anyone besides themselves. But it's more tolerable than Subterranean Animism. Hopeless Masquerade. Hopeless Masquerade, honestly, is hard carried by Mamazu. She's honestly, I really like Mamazu acting as like the big good, like, the acting one who's like actively opposing Renko as a detective sort of deal, like playing along, but also kind of diverting her sort of deal, and also having like a bunch of cards in her back sleeve. And finally, double dealing character. None of the characters are that good. Renko had the potential to be good. Shin Miyamaru and Seija are just really flat characters, and the Sakuko sisters are just one dimensional. They just act like Valley Girls. Pass on them. But then we get to Renko Usami. Renko, fucking Renko. Oh boy. What the fuck did the author do to this character? Ruined her! Now, I will say this in my previous review, when it came specifically to Renko, I actually admitted that Renko, for all intents and purposes, would have been a Mary Sue if not for the fact that a big part of Renko's character in those stories is the fact that she always lost. She never actually succeeded. Even in like Scarlet Letter Rhapsody was the only one that definitively she actually got right. It really didn't matter because at the end of the day, it was something that everyone kind of already could guess. And she just did the whole thing because she was bored and just wanted to hang out outside of heaven more. Okay, that's fine. Doesn't really do much. In the rest of these stories, on the other hand, the the author goes out of his way to make everyone so contrived and out of character to justify Renko getting away with literally everything. I shit you not. Renko becomes a flat out Mary Sue in this half. The first half, she's tolerable. I can deal with that. But in starting from subterranean animism, for some reason the author changes up her character in such a negative way that it makes her unlikable and intolerable as a character. She gets away with literally everything. She she doesn't listen, she doesn't grow. Even in the second half of the story, Mary actually gets character development. It's not a lot of character development, it's very minor, with her like slightly in being encouraged to kind of go with the flow with Renko's whole spiel, and like learning to like roll with the punches slightly more is something. It's not a lot of something, but at least you could make the argument that Mary got character development. She grew as a character, however minor. With Renko, she didn't get that. Like the closest thing Mary Renko got to any character development is um where was it? Uh where is it? It's actually near one of these chapters. Where is it? It's yeah, right here in chapter 12. Among all the incidents in Gensokyo, this one's probably the shortest, at least in terms of time between the moment someone declared to be an incident and the point at which the person to consider it to be resolved. Having perhaps learned her lesson to some extent after a treasure ship incident, i.e., UFO, when confronted with a misunderstanding from a determined incident resolver like Sine this time, Rango simply and immediately spilled the beans. I'm afraid that was just an advertisement balloon, Sine. It was made by Lady Moria. Thus, the incident was solved. Basically, a big part of why UFO got pear shaped is because Sane was so determined to get involved in like instinct that she was like ignoring everything around her, and it really didn't help the fact that Renko and Mary and also Suwako and Kanako hid everything from Sane, which kind of caused her to kind of overreact and kind of not really understand what's going on. So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna. I learned from the lesson. We're gonna just spill the beans to Sine, so that way she doesn't get. So that way, we don't deal with this shit again. It's more. This is not character development. This is a character point. When it comes to developing a character, you need to have character points like this, and kind of have it carry onward. And this is something that the entire series has done with Renko. They keep trying to give her character moments to kind of grow her character, but it only lasts until the end of that particular part, and then Renko just kind of goes back to Renko, not changing, not developing, completely dull and uninteresting. It, it infuriates how the author kept doing this, like with at the end of Phantasmagoria, with the whole your curiosity is going to get people killed. Oh, Renko just ignores it. Besides the fact it would have been a good moment to actually grow as a character. This is the closest that Renko gets to any sort of character development. This paragraph and a couple sentences, and even then, that is just completely rendered meaningless after this. This is not followed up on because Hitsoku is more of a lowbrow story, like a more comedic story. There's just not a lot going on past this. It's just so bad. And we haven't even reached the worst of it, which is Hopeless Masquerade. Now, part of my dislike of Renko in the second half is the fact that for whatever reason, the author decided to randomly turn up her promiscuity. Like she turns half the stuff anyone says into an innuendo to kind of just throw to Mary, and it gets kind of annoying because showing that she's not taking anything seriously. So I need to actually find this fucking chapter. Let's see. Um, no, I think it's for. I know it's relatively. Um, I'm trying to remember. Give me a moment. I need to actually find this. It's right here. This is the worst. One of the worst parts in any fan fiction I've ever read. For context, an incident they're trying to find out what's going on in the village with everyone kind of attacking each other and kind of going and kind of appearing listless stuff like that. So Mary and Renko stake out a bar. They stay up until the hour of the ox, which is the time, which is a Chinese term to use to refer to between the event time of 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. That's the hour of the ox. Then all of a sudden around 3 a.m. they just randomly appear home. It's a school night. They're actually teachers. Not only they're teachers, but at this point, a decade has passed. They're actually in their early 30s, I think around 31, 32. And they need to teach, and they actually work as teachers. Renko wants to go back out. Mary's like, no, I want to sleep. Mary eventually drags Renko to sleep so that way they get some rest to teach students. They wake up, they do the classes, and they finish the classes for the day, and then they run into Sine at the little business. Sine, realizes, oh, there's something going on in the village. It's like, well, I know what's going on, but I want to. Before that, I actually want to have a sleepover at your place. So Sine takes Renko and Mary to the Moria Shrine. Renko reveals that yes, I want to do another stakeout, but I actually want to do it from the air this time, just out of worry that we might get manipulated and kind of end up in front of a village somewhere. Better safe than sorry. Like, fine. They stay up pretty late. Mary is very tired because at this point, I think she only had like 4 hours of sleep. As someone who like regularly doesn't get that much sleep because I kind of stay up a lot. I kind of stay up late a lot. Don't worry about it. She wants to get some sleep. So Renko's like, okay, get it like a few hours of sleep. We'll wake up then. See, it's only 9. We got time to sleep. So Mary's insistent of wanting to get at least like an hour or two of sleep. So right as soon as she's sleeping, Renko creeps over and whispers into her ear, "Hey Mary, since you're sleeping, I'm gonna have an affair with Sine." Here's the thing: Sine is very uncomfortable with the idea of sex. Every time where Renko does like any of the innuendos towards Mary, Sine is actually creeped out about the whole thing. It's like she's very disgusted about the whole thing, and Mary is adamant. It's like, I just want to sleep. It's like, do whatever you want. I want to sleep. So Renko is like, okay, fine. And then, wait, do whatever you want, Renko. I'm sleeping. What? This is all sudden, boss? I had no idea you felt that way about me. Well, I'm lonely, Sine. I'm all alone in this world now without Mary to take care of me. Surely you can give me some comfort, right? Mary, what should I do? Just have it off switch. Sleeping, you too. Good night. I don't know what to do. It's fine. I'm a teacher, Sine. I can teach you all sorts of things. Right, Renko, this is cheating, right? You want to become a philanderer. Mary says, fine, just relax. You're my boss. Isn't this harassment? Only if you don't enjoy it. I see that. Hi. Eek! Basically, Renko pretends. In actuality, Renko's just tickling Sine. Renko is just pretending to sexually assault a Sine who's really uncomfortable with the whole thing just to get a rise out of Mary. That is not how you write it. That is not how you write your protagonist, especially one that you're trying to actually have be like Sherlock Holmes. Because again, like the whole idea is like it trying to be like Sherlock Holmes. That's not how you write. What is the whole point of this? This is literally disgusting. This whole part is just gross, disgusting. Is shock value for the sake of shock value, adds quite literally nothing to anything, and it's just It's just there to make Renko as unlikable as possible. And think about this happens throughout these stories, throughout the latter half of the stories. Not to this degree, but just picture someone like this constantly like taking any group of sentences and turning it into an individual to throw at Mary just to get a reaction from her. That is disgusting. I don't. It's just really bad. I don't know what the author's mind when he decided to turn her into this. Because in the first 7 stories, she did have some sexual innuendos, but it wasn't real. But it was very rare. She barely did it. It wasn't until Subterranean Animism that the author really ramped it up. That's right. This story completely screwed up everything, and I don't. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the grammar. Move on to the grammar. This second half has a bunch of grammar errors. I think that's mostly from translation issues. There was a big issue in Hopeless Masquerade. I'm pretty sure the author actually fixed it. 30 seconds. Yeah, the author already fixed it. No, wait, let me double check. Should be 21, right? Should be around here, right? Yeah. No, wait, is it 31? Uh, yeah. This error got fixed. So basically, the author just inadvertently copied one of the chapters from Ten Desires and actually put it in here. It's gone, so I don't have to worry. So you don't have to worry about that. But there is more grammar errors here throughout these stories, like missing quotation marks, like literally a bunch of quotation marks. Like there's a bunch of times where I don't even realize someone is talking until I see the end quotation mark because it kind of just bleeds into like a run-on sentence. It's really confusing. I didn't particularly like it, but it is what it is. Pacing wise, I think these stories are paced well enough. It's just the double dealing and Ten Desires is really 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 fast. These stories needed to be longer, honestly, because having a most of the story just a bunch of blank air didn't really help it. Would I recommend these stories? I would recommend UFO to a point, and I would recommend Soku. I want to recommend these stories. Masquerade is good, but this is a story where Renko kind of is absolutely at her worst and kind of just sinks the story on her own. And Ten Desires and Double Dealing characters are just pretty bad. What would be my favorite part? It actually had to be the very, very end of Hitsu Sensoku. Picture this. Dorame Sweet tells Mara and Renko, it's like, okay, the Daidabaruchi is at risk of actually coming to life. You gotta fix this. Otherwise, yeah, a lot of people are gonna get hurt. Bye! Ciao. So, what do? They decide to go full on big O reference. They get Alice, because at this point, Alice is making a doll, a spell that actually makes her dolls bigger. She asked Alice, Patchouli, Byakurin, and Marissa. It's like, hey, we need your help to prevent an actual incident from happening. Okay, what do you need? We need Alice. We need one of your dolls, and we need you to make it as big as possible. They're gonna help you. Like, huh? Bear with me. Bear with me. Just trust me on this. Then they get Kanako, Suwako, and Sane involved. It's like, we need you to get that balloon of yours. We need you to retrofit it with with like wiring and spells and stuff like that, and turn into like an operational mech to last for like 3 minutes. And what's gonna happen next? The balloon is gonna fight the doll. It's a very surreal moment where like, oh, you see like all this wood, a terrible rumble echoed across the land, and you see all this, and then all of a sudden you see a gigantic doll, just appear from the blue. And then like everyone kind of gets into it. It's like Renko just goes like, everyone, pray for him. Then Sine shows up. The suspended particles caught the sunset light, forming a narrow cone, lending the appearance of a spotlight as the rays coalesce to highlight a lone figure standing in the middle of the road, leading out of the village, her back turned away from the humans, skirt billowing as the dust devils swirled around her. She was standing in front of something of like a large hole in the earth, a perfectly circular opening in the path that certainly hadn't been there the day before. Amidst a drifting cloud of dust, it was difficult to make out anything but her silhouette. Despite that, though, and despite her distance from the village and the panic noise, out of those people who are still rushing away from the western gate or carrying the news through the streets, her voice carried perfectly clearly, booming on the wind and echoing over the whole village as she raised her hand above her hand, clutching tight to a thin, reedy wand topped with a rectangular sacred paper. Hitso Sensoku Showtime, which is actually a cool reference to the Big O.
Now, Big O, it's showtime.
It's really entertaining as someone who actually is a fan of Big O, and the fact that this entire story is just one love letter specifically to Big O. Oh, come on! The fact that the author goes full bore with this. They fight. It even has Sine have like a pre-recorded message of Casa naming God, ye not guilty. And even like Kanako like helping like, come on, pray for that robot. Come on, you can do it. And like even when Sine kind of like has to kind of falls off because one of the reams kind of like starts getting clogged and like air starts leaking. It's like, oh, they gotta figure out something. Here comes young motherfucking Mei-Ling with the save. Just to get taught, and we even get like a finale where Kanako throws Onibashira and like two hits of Saku, and he kind of grabs it and just kind of impales her with the doll with it. And we get like a reference to like those giant fights from like Power Rangers where like they fall and then like there's the explosion. It's entertaining. Even if you don't want to read the rest of the story, just reading this one chapter is just massively entertaining to someone who just like I was laughing throughout the entire thing because of how on the nose it was. It's honestly, you don't even have to read the whole story. Just read this one chapter, and that's it. Just do it. What would I fix about this story? I don't know what to do. I don't know what I would fix. I would definitely tone down Renko. Renko needs to be toned down. She needs to be completely reworked from the beginning to the end. One thing I would suggest is actually have a Moriarty to oppose her. Like you could have Reimu be that Moriarty. It's like and Reimu or hell, you could have Kine be that Moriarty. You already have Renko as the Sherlock. You have Mary as the Watson. Instead of Moriarty being like an actual villain, have her be like someone who's actually trying to prevent Renko and Mary from getting involved on these because out of safety. So that way you actually have have like different creative ways to kind of keep Renko in check and her trying to foil whoever's trying to stop her. It would be good. It would be a good thing. It wouldn't fix her character because I think at this point Renko's character is like completely unsalvageable. It really is. But it'd be a start. Another thing I would do about the whole series is as the series goes on, at the whole point, because based on what was implied in the last story, which was based around Urban Legends and Limbo, that Mary and Renko were specifically brought to Gensokyo in order to change the events of Urban Legends and Limbo. But they were brought 10 years back by Yukari for a specific reason. That's kind of like one of the big mysteries that was revealed. Like, oh, I brought you to interfere with this event, then why'd you bring us 10 years backwards, farther than you wanted to? Shh. So why not, as each story goes along, as we've seen with UFO, have, as the series goes on, they deviate more and more from the actual plot to the point where like the plots barely feel like read like the actual events of the game. That way, it sells the whole changing the impact of Mary Rancor having on the world itself, and it'd be something. Also, you really need to Renko's character just needs to be reworked. Just completely rewrite Renko's character from the ground up. I'm fine. I'm fine with Mary. If you're gonna rework Renko, then you have to rework Mary too. Mary won't require as much work, which is at least good. But yeah, that is what I would do with that story. And I don't have anything else to say. I'm really disappointed in these stories, except for Soku and UFO, because really I really wanted to like this. I really screwed the pooch when I said that this was like the most consistently good series in fan fiction, and I do apologize for kind of jumping the gun on that. I legit didn't think that it was going to get this levels of bad. But yeah, that has been the second half of the Hifuu Detective Agency. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and